Hey guys, it's Victoria and welcome back to FemmeHead. So today I want to talk about the importance of knowledge and information when it comes to making a decision in your life, and today specifically that is about your birth control options. And the sponsor of today's video is Natural Cycles, which we're also going to be talking about in today's video. I believe that people should be able to make their own choice when it comes to the birth control method they are on, but I also believe that you can't fully make a completely informed decision on that without knowing all the options and knowing all the pros and cons of each. I think a lot of birth control methods are put out there as this is the way to go, and other ones are put out there as don't even bother because this doesn't even work. I think it would be really interesting to see some sort of statistic or study on the number of people or couples that don't even give charting or a charting-based method a chance because they don't believe it is a viable option, because someone has told them or they have somehow heard, oh, that's just the rhythm method. You know, Catholics use that and they all have like 12 kids. Oh, that's really only a method that you use when you're trying to get pregnant. The misinformation surrounding our bodies, our cycle, and our fertility is astounding to me. It seems like everyone that goes on to learn even the smallest bit about their menstrual cycle, how their fertility works, the different phases, and that you can track with temperature and cervical fluid, there's this moment of realizing these are very fundamental things that we should know, and the fact that we don't know them already just really mind-boggles people. And a lot of people find themselves thinking or saying, wait, how do I not know this already? Why was I not taught this in school? I went to a workshop the other day where we talked about charting our cycles, and there were a lot of people who were new to charting and didn't even know the basics. And there was one woman that chimed in at one point like, can I just say real quick, like, why were we not taught this in 6th grade? And I was like, here, like, I totally agree with that. It's something that I found myself thinking, and I still find myself thinking, why is this not taught to girls? It just, once you learn about it, it just seems so simple, and it seems like common sense knowledge that we should have, but we don't have. It is such an intricate part to having a menstrual cycle, and I think that everyone with a menstrual cycle should be taught how it actually works, what it actually means, and how to track and chart it. Yet we're kept in the dark for a reason that I'm not aware of. I think maybe there's this unspoken fear that we won't be able to fully understand this knowledge, or we won't be able to take on the responsibility of knowing these things, or we're not responsible enough to chart our own cycles and to make the decisions surrounding our fertility on our own, that we need some sort of pill to make those decisions for us. It just seems like there's this belief that, well, you better play it safe and get an IUD in or take some sort of hormonal birth control pill. Until the time comes when you magically decide, hey, I'm ready to get pregnant now. And then you can get off whatever form of hormonal birth control you're on and magically get pregnant. But that is an entirely different video and topic. I've kind of touched on it before, just like the misconceptions of our fertility, how we spend a portion of our lives suppressing our fertility, and then as soon as we decide we're ready to get pregnant, we get off whatever method it is and expect it just to happen, because that is what we've been told our entire lives, that we are these fertile beings, and soon as there's not some outside force protecting us, we will immediately get pregnant. And it seems that that is not the case, and it takes a while for couples to get pregnant, and there's a lot of heartbreak, and so many women just say, if I only would have known, I would have made steps in my younger years, or I would have done things differently, but I won't get into that too much. So when I talk about charting or other non-hormonal options, I'm not saying it in a way of this is the best decision for you, this is what you have to make, or you're doing it wrong. There are so many different areas in life where it's either my way or the highway or whatever that quote is. While personally, one thing works for me, that might not be the best choice for you, your lifestyle, and your personal situation. And my goal and my desire is that people just have the understanding of how their bodies work, how their menstrual cycles work, how their fertility work, and that they can, if it works for them, chart their cycles. Because I have heard far too many stories of women who feel stuck on whatever hormonal birth control method they're on because they don't know there's another way. I continued continued taking the pill for a year after I wanted to get off it, a year after I had realized that it was causing all of these like negative side effects in my life. But I stayed on it because I didn't know I could control my fertility naturally. Looking back, there's no one to point the finger at to say, well, why wasn't I taught this? There's just so many people don't know. It has really lit a fire underneath me to put out the information and to share the knowledge that there are options, there are safe and effective forms of non-hormonal birth control for you out there if hormonal birth control isn't working for you. So I was filming a video for my other channel where I was sharing, weird, mean, or odd comments I'd gotten on videos. And on a video that I made over a year ago talking about natural cycles and how the app works and everything, I just recently got a comment that said, let me check, this doesn't seem like a good idea. And my initial thought was like, based on what? And I just have to accept that this person's apparent lack of knowledge surrounding the menstrual cycle, fertility, and charting and how it all works, that they probably don't understand how it works. And when you don't understand how something works, I can understand how it seems like it may be ineffective or not a good idea. But I just saw that and I was like, did you even watch the video? Have you looked into this before? Like, what is going on in your brain? I find comments like that frustrating, but I have to take a step back and think back to maybe where I was before I understood how charting worked or how my cycle worked. You can't fault people for their lack of knowledge. You can just only share what you know. There is a chance that you are going to get pregnant regardless of the method you are on, whether it is hormonal or non-hormonal. There is just always going to be a chance. That is a fact. That is part of being sexually active. I feel like I'm your mom or like the sex ed teacher saying that, but I think people forget that no method is 100% effective. Even getting a vasectomy, it's really, really, really close to being 100% effective, but there's still circumstances and situations where it doesn't work. I just think it's something worth pointing out and worth reminding people of, because there are certain hormonal birth control methods that are put up on a pedestal and treated like they are 100% effective when they're not. I think it's just worth saying, because I feel like sometimes when I'm talking about, the sympto-thermal method or charting or using a different device or an app, people get so upset like I'm trying to trick them into getting pregnant. I'm trying to make them use this birth control method that really isn't effective. And I always say that charting and non-hormonal options and hormonal options, to be honest, are only as effective as you are consistent with them. Consistent with taking your pill, or consistent with taking your temperature, or consistent with following the rules of that particular method. And then depending on where you fall on the spectrum of like, I absolutely cannot get pregnant, to it wouldn't be the end of the world, you can give yourself some leeway or be lax on certain sort of rules. But I think that is everyone's personal decision. And I think understanding how a method works, regardless of whether it's hormonal or non-hormonal, helps you make your decisions more effectively. Natural cycles works for those without a perfect 28-day cycle, which I think there is this misconception that you have to have this perfect 28-day cycle and ovulate on day 14 for it to work. And if you're outside that realm even the slightest bit, you shouldn't even bother because it won't be effective. I think there is so much good that can come from charting, and I think it is very important to note that you can use natural cycles without having that perfect 28-day cycle. It simply means you may get more red days, but it will not change the effectiveness of the method. So natural cycles gives you one of two colors for the day, red and green. And red means do not have unprotected sex this day, you are fertile or almost fertile, you are in your fertile window. And green means you're good to go to have unprotected sex today if you so choose. It is pretty straightforward, and the amount of green days you get depends on your personal cycle and how consistent you are with taking your temperature every day. You should be taking it at the same time every morning before doing anything or getting out of bed. It should be the very first thing you do once your alarm goes off. And Natural Cycles recommends taking it after at least 4 hours of consecutive sleep. And it is also important to have a reliable thermometer. You don't want just any plain old digital thermometer, but you also don't have to shell out a bunch of money either. Natural Cycles also has its own thermometer that I want to say is $30, but don't quote me on that. I'll put the price on the screen. And I think if you get a yearly subscription, you get the thermometer included. I say this quite often, but I think it is really, really awesome that you can use the same method to either prevent pregnancy or when the time comes achieve pregnancy, and you can obviously go back and forth between the two, whether you're trying to get pregnant or not get pregnant. There's something very comforting in knowing that. It just goes to show that having this knowledge and having this information is beneficial for the long term. Knowledge is power, and I think that everyone is entitled to all the information surrounding the decisions that they are making in their own life, so they can make the best decision based on their particular situation, lifestyle, whatever it may be. So that is just my goal, to start conversations, to share information with you guys so you can be as informed as possible. And I always tell people, continue to do your own research. Don't just settle because you think a certain thing is the only way that you can do something. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you to Natural Cycles for sponsoring today's video. I have links to everything down in the description box. Let me know if you liked today's video by giving it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe to FemmeHead if you want to keep up with me, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!